This Alabama quarterback competition is really heating up. Chris Lowe of ESPN reporting, coming out with an article today in reference to the quarterback position. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, in this article, basically it's come out with Chris Lowe and others that although the decision will ultimately come down to Kalen DeBoer, his right-hand man in Ryan Grubb is going to have, and to quote here, a very much integral say about how all things conduct offensively. Was asked a question about his quarterback competition, which Ryan Grubb said that no one has separated. All are playing good, but Joey does say this: none are playing great at the current moment. He said the thing that I am looking for from all three is that they got to be more consistent. This sounds like coach speak, but the way that this is written, I don't know if it is. It does feel like to me that this could be coming down to Simpson and Mack because Chris Lowe only talks about them in that article. But, Joe, as we get into Bama post Jalen Milroe here, I guess your thoughts on this quarterback competition.
I thought it was really funny that the comment made by Grubb was that they're all playing good, but they're not great. And I feel like what made it so entertaining is that we're so used to hearing about how great everyone is, how everybody's standing out, how everybody's shining, and like we can't make a decision because everybody's doing so well. But Ryan Grubb was incredibly candid in saying that, yeah, they're kind of rough around the edges. The options we have right now amongst the three guys that are competing for the job aren't as sexy as maybe many would hope that they would be. Part of me wonders, and I don't think that Ryan Grubb would be so direct and honest to indicate that, like, hey, this is an issue. I'm not going to sit here and do the overreaction and go, oh, shit, they're screwed. They don't have an option. They don't have anyone to turn to. They're going to be completely tanked next season. They're not going to be able to move the ball. I really do wonder, though, that if maybe there's going to be an unexpected outcome here. I know that Ty Simpson
like
has been projected. Yeah, Austin Mack, I think it would be the most unexpected option here. I wonder if that because they're so close and he's not being super he's not
pushed,
hyping them up, that Austin Mack might end up sneaking his way.
Well, they want Ty Simpson to stay. They don't want him hitting the portal. Right. I don't know. I mean, we talked about this with Ryan Day and them. Why would they do that? Why not let him go out there and compete? Joe, people have been out there, right? And so here's the thing. Since people have been out there and people do go to practice, and for what it's worth, Kalen DeBoer has opened it up more than Saban ever did. I mean, it's just different coaches have different, things about them. But I think the thing here is very interesting with this quarterback situation is that people have gotten eyes on these one-on-one reps, 11-on-11s, and it hasn't separated. So then Chris Lowe comes out with this article, okay, and are we going to act like Chris Lowe, who's been so much involved at the University of Alabama, doesn't know? So he put two of them in there. And in that article, he talks about Ty Simpson. He talks about Austin Mack. He said in the article, and I'm summarizing, that Austin Mack, which could feel like a long shot, might not be. So to your point, might not be. It just tells me that I'm going to say this. I do feel like that we just have an outright battle here. I don't think that there's any fluff. I think that both of them, they're trying to get and see who can win it and let the best man win. I do feel like it just appears to me, though, coming from other media sources from Alabama, that Ty Simpson might be the guy. But you brought up a point that I think maybe the last time that we really sat down and talked about Alabama was like, well, Blake, Ryan Grubb was who recruited Austin Mack. He goes to the University of Washington. He follows them to Alabama. Ryan Grubb leaves. Ryan Grubb now comes back. He does have an upper advantage in reference to Grubb. So which means technically, Joe, probably who the guy that they want to win this job, that probably being Austin Mack, I think that the simple fact that Ty Simpson's saying, hey, the old Lee Corso, let me get a pencil. Not so fast, my friend, feels to me that he's done a little bit more maybe than they thought that he would. Because I do feel like, because you brought up the good point, and when we knew we were going to talk about this, I've been thinking about it all day. I was actually sitting on the bike, and I'm like, you know what? I remember Joe bringing that up. I do feel like we just have an outright competition, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know where to lean as of right now in reference to who wins it. I think we're still way too early in this process. Now, if some other things start coming out and we find out, that's one thing. Are you surprised, though, that Chris Lowe didn't even mention the young rookie in Keelon Russell? Like, it's not even a thought at this point. Because look, a month ago, don't sleep on Keelon Russell. Don't sleep on him. And then now all of a sudden it's Ty Simpson and Austin Mack for the fight out in this one.
No, I'm not surprised by this because a lot of the things that if you listen about Keelon Russell that were leading up to signing day and his commitment when he changed his commitment from SMU to Alabama, and when he was shining and was really starting to have this lead up over the last summer of going from a 4-star to a 5-star, finishing at the top of the class as one of the best quarterbacks. A lot of things that were acknowledged that he is a very good athlete. He is a very raw passer. He needs to improve. I think that if you start Keelon Russell, that is a sign of, in a way, desperation. That you don't feel satisfied with the two options that you have, which are two competent, athletic, quality options that have the tools to start in the SEC, that you're so desperate that you have to turn to the promising young freshman. Not every freshman needs to start. I think that we were blessed with a very unique class last year of freshmen with Dylan Raiola and DJ Lagway, and also the receivers, Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, and all these guys that had insane seasons as true freshmen. That is not typical. It is very out of the ordinary that true freshmen can play the way that all those guys did, let alone be ready to start. So, no, this doesn't surprise me. I will say it again.
Well, their faces of the season, Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams, if you remember the cover of EA Sports, they're the front two guys on the cover.
Right. To be at that level, a guy like Keelon Russell, I'd rather he just sit. I think that there's nothing wrong with guys just sitting and developing and growing and wait until it's year 2 or year 3 for him to take over.
I will say this. Look, I've been and covering a team when these quarterback positions happen. People normally want to see the guy that stuck around and fought to win the battle, right? Like, I mean, because in today's world, that doesn't happen. How many times could Ty Simpson have transferred? How many? I mean, when Saban retired,
3 years. Yeah.
When Saban retired, he could have done it this year. I mean, a lot of people trend to that. I do think people just want to win and they don't really care. I wonder if Austin Mack does give you a higher upside, and that ultimately is what beats it out here. But Ty Simpson, Joe, I wish we had more of an update. I do think that people lean, and I talked to some people that cover the team just individually. Listen, in their opinion, what they told me, I don't know this to be factual. They do still feel that Ty Simpson will win it out. And it makes sense based off of Chris Lowe's article in the sense of if Austin Mack, look, if the coaching staff was saying like, hey, push this Austin Mack thing out here, like that he's pushing. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to slice the pie. So look, Alabama post Jalen Milroe, but here's the thing, Joe. I like Jalen Milroe. I had higher expectations on him, and I know you did as well. Yeah. Coming into last season. I think they're upgrading with whoever they go with.
Whoever starts, you think? Well, I think that naturally there's going to be an upgrade for the reason that whoever starts has been there for multiple seasons. Austin Mack has been playing in the scheme for now 2 years. Ty Simpson's been there for a year.
It's just a scheme. It's just a scheme for me. Jalen Milroe's not built for what they wanted to do, bro. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, they need somebody who's a little bit more of a poised passer, and Milroe won with his legs, and it felt like there were times that they weren't setting him up to succeed as fully as he could, hence why down the stretch he struggled as much as he did.
Joe, they're asking a guy that was not good at throwing intermediate passes. I mean, let's call it – you watch Washington film. Tell me if I'm lying. How much mesh do they run?
A lot.
They would a lot. A lot. I mean, how many times did they run double cross with a tight end underneath and a wide receiver behind? I mean, it's the staple of what they do. And a guy was not good at intermediate throws just couldn't do it. So, look, it's always fun with a quarterback battle. It makes and look, when you go into a season with Alabama, you're asking your question. Now, I almost forgot to say this. You know why he brought up the inconsistency? Me and Ryan Grubb. I was given to this by a media member who's been on our show multiple times. Arguably one of the biggest for Bama. This kid, Dijon Lee, the freshman, apparently has picked off multiple quarterbacks multiple times in multiple high-level situations, multiple times in the red zone. He got a PBU that was posted by Alabama in a closed practice in the red zone. Maybe Bama found a DB. Who would have ever thought?
Well, their whole not receiving room, their whole corner room and their whole defense has some sneaky good guys that could end up exploding as young starters. Damani Jackson's another player who I was really impressed with last year that transferred over from USC that I think is going to have a huge impact. I think that their secondary that was inconsistent last year is going to take a huge step forward. Like that to me is going to be the biggest thing for Alabama and probably something that we talk about when we do that 2025